Lake Toho. Full name Toho, on the Kissimmee chain, drawing water to send down south to the Everglades. This week, it draws fishermen.
This year's going to be one of those years where you're gonna have to tighten up.
This week, it's the first stop on the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Tour.
This is probably the most important tour year we've ever had.
Bound to be a few butterflies, some anxious moments. The main thing is it's a clean slate, a fresh start to a new season, and the possibilities are endless.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm confident too.
This is a place where you can jumpstart a big career or add to your legacy.
This lake is in the same line, I guess, awesome and brutal.
It's also a place that's known for many things.
Big fish and a lot of them.
It's got some monsters in it.
It's a place known for one magic day, one that to this day stands in the bass record books.
Dean Ross.
Dean Rojas.
You got to think about Rojas and an awesome stringer he caught that year.
January 17th, 2001 was the day that Dean Rojas was hoping to start a campaign to win his first BASS Top 150 event. He started it right with a 10-pound, 13-ounce largemouth in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah!
And it just kept going. 9 pounds, 8.2, 10 pounds. And when it was all done, a 5-fish limit of 45 pounds and 2 ounces, shattering the 5 bass record by 10.5 pounds. But it wasn't meant to be for Dean this year. And the big numbers didn't come on the first day. Leading the way on day one was journeyman angler Kevin Worth, the former Kentucky Derby jockey who knew that he was only in the first turn.
It's kind of like riding Kentucky Derby, you know. Get to the 8th pole, you might be running out a little horse and not win the race, but it sure feels good at the time.
Lurking behind him was a third-place Takahiro Omori, the defending world champion who maybe didn't expect to start the new year as strong as he did.
Well, maybe not very good, I don't know.
Forget about that.
God, Giant, I need help.
Omori comes back with almost 18 pounds on day 2 and takes a solid lead on the field.
Look at this fish.
Only 12 make the cut to day 3. But consider that if you want to get any further, you're going to have to get past 4 former classic champions. Wu Daves, Kevin Van Dam, Jay Yellis, and Takahiro Omori. Not to mention the defending Citgo Angler of the Year. The first stop of the year is supposed to be a test, but who knew it would be this hard? Today, we'll find out who passed.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail.
Welcome to the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail. This is a huge, huge week for us. This is where it all begins. First event of the year on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. Coming to you from Lake Toho down there in Florida. I'm Tommy Sanders, along with Jerry McInnes. Everything starts here. Your world begins if you're a pro angler right here and right now in a place that has a lot of historical significance, especially with regard to big bass. But so much gets started right now. It's so exciting.
Are you into big bass?
I am, and I'll be into big bass for you, too, if you don't have time.
I'm into little bass.
I hear you.
Hey, you heard Mark Davis comment that this was the most important year ever, possibly, and I'll explain why that is. The field is qualifying for the E50s in the Bassmaster Classic in 05, just like they always do, but we've had format and schedule changes for 06, so many of their accomplishments will be carried over into the 06 seasons and qualify them for those same events, so we are doubling up on the guys. It is an important year.
Well, to get to fabled Lake Toho, you head down to Florida, of course, the central part of the state, just a little bit south of Orlando, a little bit east of Walt Disney World. You find Kissimmee, Florida, and the Kissimmee chain of lakes. Some of the hundreds of natural lakes that you find all over Florida. That's kind of the look right there. Some open water, a lot of standing timber, and a good bit of vegetation, but not as much as there used to be. More on that a little bit later.
Well, you know what? An angler can put a name on a piece of grass, Tommy, and it sticks. You know what I'm talking about. So far, I've heard this grass called gator grass, joint weed, and just plain vine, you know, where you fish at. Well, I'm fishing out in the vines. However, we talked to the biologists there. We got down to the nitty-gritty, and we found out that the real name for this grass is smartweed. So there you have it. You know, the hydrilla and the hyacinth was pretty much wiped out by the hurricane, but this smartweed, being a native to these waters, seemed to hang in there. Hey, one more name that I heard this grass called that I forgot to mention, and I think it was Kevin Worth that called it this. He called it the mean green.
The mean
what
green.
A great description.
Well, that is Kevin Worth, and we're watching right now. He was the first day leader. This is action from day 2. How Kevin made it through that day. Of course, you can see he's working on the mean green just as hard as he possibly can. You know, you're right. The hurricanes went through, caused a lot of damage in this area. As a matter of fact, you still see plenty of houses with tarps over the top, but they say it's helped the fishing. Kevin might not disagree with that one right there. Of course, Kevin had the best showing of all on day number 1. Flipping in that mean green, flipping in the alligator grass. But that's not the only way to catch him here on Lake Toho and throughout the Kissimmee chain. Here's another method.
No, sir. A lipless crankbait fished around that submerged grass will catch him. Matter of fact, that's probably hot technique number 2. Takahiro, your classic champion, is throwing the lipless crankbait, and after day 1, had him setting in off a good position, so he'll be out there throwing the heck out of it today.
I can cast 50 yards on this thing.
Takahiro Omori, dramatic victory at the Bassmasters Classic last summer, Lake Wylie, South Carolina. Very popular victory as well. Participated in the Bush Shootout, and now he just keeps the momentum going through day 1 into day 2 of this tournament. This lipless crankbait could be his ticket.
Big one. God. So crazy. 1 foot. Gotcha. Scared of me. It's a good fish. Check out this.
Yeah, that one's worth checking out. What a student of fishing Takahiro Omori is. We're going to take apart that lipless crankbait and show you what's inside when we come back. And more importantly, we'll tell you why it works, especially here on Lake Toho and the Kissimmee chain. We'll also look at his day 2 finish when we come back.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Lowrance, Toyota, and Mercury Marine.
Coming to you this morning from Lake Toho and the rest of the Kissimmee chain here just south of Orlando, Florida. The first event of the year for the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. Very important event as you look at the canals which separate the lakes in this chain. The leader right now in the 2nd day of competition is going to be Kevin Worth. Lee Bailey of Connecticut in 2nd place. And the man in 3rd place, this man, Takahiro Omori. You'll remember him from last summer. Put on this furious charge in the last few minutes of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Became the first international winner ever of this great, great event. Takahiro Omori picking up on the momentum, trying to make it carry forward into the new year. So far, the plan is working out.
I know the place like this, nobody gonna find it, you know, it's just a bare bank. And if I can catch fish here, you know, I thought I have a chance. This is the only spot that took me 45 minutes to get here to fish. Because all my big fish yesterday come from Toho.
Takahiro Omori getting down to work now. He likes his spot, and really he's picking up where he left off last year. He won the Classic, that final day flurry there with the crankbait. He's using a crankbait this time as well, but it's a lot different than the one he used on Lake Wylie.
And you know what? I went up to Taka and was talking to him about his lipless crankbait, and I said, is the noise in that bait very important? And he was just like taken back, and you know, says, absolutely. So, you know, a sound is something that we don't talk about very much when we're referring to the hard bait. So we have taken 3 lipless crankbaits. This is a Yazuri Rattle and Vibe. This is Tox bait right here. This is Vibration. And we've taken a rattle trap and we've tore it to pieces, Tommy.
Pulled it apart for sure.
Broke it in half, and you'll notice the insides, it has 3 lead weights up here in the front. And this is to weight the bait, to make it easy to cast, to get down to the depth you want it, and to balance it as it's coming back to you. And in the middle of the body is about 20 little bitty tiny BBs. And these are the guys that make all the noise. As a matter of fact, I'll bet you can hear this. Good night. his BBs are really getting with it. And you might think, well, that makes a lot of noise up here, but man, it's the same thing underwater. You can listen and look at this bait as it's running through the grass, and when the rod tip jerks it violently away from the grass, it makes this noise. So that is important. But Tommy, with all that said, the most important thing is still to tick that grass with the bait. Get it down there and almost hang it up, and then when you jerk it out of there, that's when the rattles go off. That's when the reaction strikes occurs. You know, the old bass is laying there not paying a whole lot of attention to anything. Water's kind of cold. He doesn't want to move around very much. But these two things, the jerk and the vibration, will make him react to that bait. And, you know, that's what's happened to Takahiro here.
God, big one. God, giant. I need help. I need help with this one. God. It's a giant. God. God. This is a 10-pounder. God. Took my time here. Yes! Look at this fish. Ate it, whole things. Yes! God, this is a 10. Oh, I'm shaking. God, yeah. This is a 10. Well, I'm gonna find out, but God. Yes. Let's get another one.
Well, if you're going to take over the lead in a tournament, why not do it in a big way? Takahiro Omori bringing the heat on day number 2 of this tournament. That 7-pound, 10-ounce Lake Toho bass combined with the 5-pounder we saw earlier. Take a look at him. This is what sends him to the top of the leaderboard. 5 pounds, in fact, his lead over his nearest pursuer, David Walker. Omori not the only guy to come in with the big ones, though. Ron Shuffield, Bismarck, Arkansas, 17 pounds, 11 ounces to the stage. And another Arkansan. Here's Scott Rook, one of the last anglers to weigh in on day number 2, 17 pounds and 12 ounces. All these guys are solidly in the top 12 for day 3. 4 classic winners among the top 12 here. If you're going to advance to the final day, to the top 6, you're going to have to get by some pretty tough customers. Well, coming up, we'll let you know who makes that final 6, get you all prepped and ready for championship day, for the final day of the tournament. There's so much more to come from here in Central Florida. Stick around. Watching the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail in our first event of 2005, Stop 1 on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour here at Lake Toho and the Kissimmee Chain in Central Florida. Day 3 competition, and Takahiro Omori holding a strong 5-pound lead. Also making the cut to the final 6, David Walker with 37 pounds. Jeff Reynolds of Oklahoma, 12 pounds, 3 ounces, lands him in 4th place. Last year's Citgo Angler of the Year, Gerald Swindle, keeping his momentum going. A good day, just making the cut with 32 pounds and 14 ounces. Check out who didn't make it to the Super 6. 3 classic champs, Jay Yellis, Woo Daves, and Kevin Van Dam. But we are all prepped now for championship day, and let's take a look at the Super 6, including Terry Scroggins, always tough in Florida. Jeff Reynolds of Oklahoma, headed for his best finish on the tour. Ron Shuffield, a member of Bass's $1 Million Club. Gerald Swindle, last year's Angler of the Year. David Walker would love to be a spoiler. And our classic champ from last year, Takahiro Omori. Well, even in Florida, there's a chill in the air this time of year, this early in the morning, but 6 anglers are not taking note of the temperature. They're ready to get the day started.
Another practice day, baby. A lot of adrenaline, but it seems like you kind of got to suppress them emotions, that adrenaline, and just start thinking, because it's a practice day. Fired up as hell, man. I just want to crack it out of here running one time. Oh, Lord. It's time now. No mercy.
Takahiro Omori trying to make some history here, trying to become only the 3rd angler in history to follow up a classic victory with a win at the following season opener. Takahiro Omori with a 5.5-pound lead over David Walker. David Walker in second, and I can tell you, we'll talk about this later, but he will not be satisfied if he comes up in second place when it's all said and done today as he gets ready to do his work. See if we can talk to him for just a second. David, you've been in this position before, right?
Yeah, I have, and I don't know if that's good news or bad news. I've been in it a few times, but it's always came out on the wrong end of that deal. So hopefully this one here will be changed. It's tough to really get your hopes up that much and then let you down. I mean, God, it hurts.
I guess it wears on a fella after a while, but being 5 or 6 pounds back of the leader on this lake, well, that's different from a lot of places. You can make up that very easily here, right?
Yeah, well, one cast, absolutely, and that's what I'm looking for today, because that's what's going to win this tournament, is that one big fish.
Talk about what got you this far in the tournament.
Well, I think being pretty stubborn is what's got me here, because I stuck with flipping even when it wasn't paying off very well, but at the end of the day, I'd still have a good limit of fish to weigh in, and that's what's important in these tournaments. Just keep catching a limit. I think what I'm doing is the best way to catch a big fish, bar none.
We'll talk a little bit about this grass that you're fishing and the peculiar properties of it. Is it really, really thick, and is it connected to the bottom, or is it just a floating mat?
No, it's real thick. It's connected to the bottom, and it's offering a lot of cover. Since they drew the lake down, they dredged out a lot of the hydrilla and a lot of the flat reeds and really opened it up. And so there's a limited amount of thick cover left. So I think that's why this spot just keeps replenishing, because they don't have a lot of other places to be.
David Walker with great expectations for this championship day, fishing very close to the launch site. Another angler fishing even closer than that, Jeff Reynolds of Oklahoma, maybe 2 miles from the launch in downtown Kissimmee, Florida. Finished day 3 in 4th place, 9 pounds back of the lead.
Man, is this sweet or what?
What this spot is, there's a ditch that runs right through here. It's about 6 foot deep. And it runs right down through here, right around the edge of this mat of grass. And these fish, it's just like a highway for these fish to come out of this deep water, come up in here to spawn. And that's what they're wanting to do right now, spawn, so. There he is. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on, baby. Ah, don't do that, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah! That's the way to start it. Second cast of the day. That's what I'm talking about right there.
But this one here, I just feel like I can really win it. I ain't felt like that in a long time. Because Takahiro's 5 pounds ahead of me, but man, he's caught a big fish every single day. I haven't caught the first one yet, and he's still only 5 pounds ahead of me. I just think I can do it with one fish.
Well, this is our first look at David Walker and how he's fishing for the day, and it looks like the old vegetation, the mean green, is going to be a big part of his plan.
Yeah, you know, we've talked so much already about a lipless crankbait. David Walker's a pitcher. Boy, he is really good at it. He will not change his technique of pitching that Berkeley power crawl into the gator grass. I'm going to call it gator grass right off.
From here on out, it's
He's going to throw it in that gator grass over and over again. He's probably in 5 feet of water. It's a real chore to handle your boat in that grass.
That's a bite, too. Gosh, nice one. I was expecting 12-incher when that one bit. There they are, buddy.
David Walker's got it underway on championship day. When we come back, we'll catch up with our leader, Takahiro Omori. He's still traveling, and we'll see how far he plans to go. Plus, we'll go deeper, much deeper into this vegetation, this alligator grass. And I'll tell you what, we're going to find out just how tough it can be. Don't go away. Citgo Bassmaster Tour. This is our first event of the year at Lake Toho down in Florida. Final day, championship day. 6 anglers left in the mix. We've already seen Jeff Reynolds, David Walker fishing very close to our launch there on Lake Toho. But Takahiro Omori, our leader, is making a much longer run, about 45 minutes worth of run, in fact, which is going to take him through Lake Toho and into the canal system and up to this lock right here. And it's really not just Lake Toho. It really is, Jerry, the Kissimmee chain of lakes.
The whole chain of lakes, and I'm going to back Takahiro up all the way to his starting point there at Kissimmee and show how he comes all the way through Toho, You saw him there at the lock with all the other boats. From that point, he comes down the canal through Cyprus and on down into the Kissimmee River and into Lake Kissimmee. Then he gets over in one area, and like you said, it took him about 45 minutes to get there, but it's worth it because he will stay there all day long.
Now, what do we know about this place he's fishing? It doesn't look like there's much structure, at least visible to our eye.
It's not visible to our eyes like it is in some of the other areas, but there is grass under the water, and there you saw him pumping that rod until he does that right there, and that's get a reaction strike. And you know what? You can actually hear the bait rattling up through his rod. Believe it or not, the vibration and the rattling will come all the way up, and you can barely hear it. So that's how important that sound is to him. And that is his first fish there, and a very important fish because, man, it's really good to get off the snide there for a while.
There's a fish. Still got it. Yes. Same fish again. He held on to it today. Not as many bites, but they all holding it today. It's okay. Yes. Yes. I like that.
As we look at David Walker, you can see how intent he is on feeling whatever strike there may be.
Well, Tom, if you don't mind, I want to talk about Walker for just a little bit here. I think he is one win away from being a superstar. You know, in his 15 years of fishing, he's been in the top 50 34 times. He's finished second twice, third 3 times, even finished in the Classic third twice. So, you know, you look at him fishing out there, and a lot of times he almost looks like he doesn't care. You know what I mean? He does. He acts like sometimes he's not really very competitive. He is. He's trying to catch a fish awful hard right there. He acts like not winning doesn't bother him. It does. And that's why I'm saying his records compare him with any angler.
Look at him back.
In one victory away from being a superstar.
How does that happen? That didn't just happen. But it did happen.
Right now, let's see what's going on with Terry Scroggins, the last man into the top 6. They say watch out for the last man. When you're in Florida, say always watch out for Terry Scroggins. Won a tour event year before last at Okeechobee, an open event before that on his home river, the St. John.
And you can look at the tracks here and see that he's going the furthest of any of our anglers. He is all the way at the tail end of Lake Kissimmee, probably 15 minutes further than Takahiro is, and you're right, he is a tough angler. He's like Walker. He is a pitcher and a flipper, and not a happy pitcher and flipper.
He would like another technique just at this moment.
Oh, my goodness. He is awful good at that technique, though. Fishes a lot of shallow water. And, you know, I don't know if you realize how tough it is to pitch those baits in that grass and feel exactly what's going on. It's so important.
That one's going to hurt.
Well, you see, the grass gives and the grass takes away. It provides such great cover for those bass, but it's hard to catch them. It's hard to hook up with them and that stuff, and sometimes it can be really hard to get them out of there.
I like it, Tommy. I love that tough grass. You know, we're always in the fish's environment, but in this circumstance, we are really in his environment, and he has the upper hand there. I think that's pretty
More of a fair fight. I like that.
You know what, though? It does occur to me that every time we run into a new obstacle out there, that someone comes up with another mousetrap, a better mousetrap. Yeah. And now we're using these little tungsten weights that are all the way up to 1.5 ounces. And this is so important because they have to punch through that grass. Now, 1.5 ounces lead weight is a clod. It just won't be as effective. But boy, when you get the little tungsten weight, it punches through there. It takes the bait down into the strike zone. Then you can pull it back out and then try to punch in another area, not too far away now, because boy, these fish, you just about have to hit them on the head. So you want to just work your way real carefully to get a look from a bass.
All right, well, let's take a look. See if Gerald Swindle's having any more luck with this vegetation.
Get the rod jerked out of your hand doing this today. I fished every mat in Toho. I can't get a bite, and I come in these canals and flip a mat, and I got 4 bites. Don't know if there's just something to it. I just got lucky, but we're gonna research it for a while. Every time we come by a little old mat, we're gonna flop in it.
Well, Gerald is back in a canal, and actually the gator grass is not very prevalent back in the canal. So this is actually just grass and weeds. It's not as tough as out there in the big lake. However, there's problems fishing back there as well.
Rope a rod. Oh, my fish come off too. God almighty. Come on.
Ready. I had him flopping there, dude. I believe if my rod wouldn't have broke, I could have got him. Felt pretty good, too.
Tommy, I want to back that up. I want to hear exactly what he has.
No, you don't. I don't think.
After the show, let's go look at that.
Maybe then. Takahiro Omori, though, his lead has been cut into severely by David Walker. We have got a battle royal going on. This thing could head right down to the wire. Be right back. The Citgo Bassmaster Tour in the first event of 2005, and we are down to championship day. There's the 2004 Citgo Angler of the Year, Gerald Swindle. He's among the top 6. But here's the man on top when we started the day, Takahiro Omori. And here's how he got here. This action from day number 2 of the competition, 7 pounds and 10 ounces. Coming from the Kissimmee chain of lakes. That's what this place is known for. But right now, we've got a battle royal going on between Omori and David Walker. Just about to run him down, and David Walker, who would love to punch through and get his first major tournament victory. Here's a man we have not seen in action yet today. Ron Shuffield quietly passed into the $1 million man status for BASS about a year ago. And Ron Shuffield also fishing down in Lake Kissimmee, also running the lipless crankbait.
I'm not going to panic, like I said. I'm so thankful just to made it this far. We'll stumble across a little something out here. I'm not sure what.
Ron Shuffield from Bismarck, Arkansas. We saw him a couple of years ago, went on the tour just up the road from his home. Hot Springs, Arkansas's Lake Hamilton.
Oh, yeah, we'll stumble around out there and catch something. He acts like he doesn't have a clue. Actually, he is a very intelligent angler. Surprises me a little bit that he's not flipping the grass a little bit more, but caught a great string of fish yesterday throwing this lipless, so you can bet he's going to stick with it. I bet you, though, if we take a good look at David Walker,
his bite,
he'll be pitching and flipping again. Right now, not very happy.
Man, you go from so happy to so mad so fast. Another fish. Man, I never touched him with a hook, though. Never touched him.
David Walker kind of going through a bad patch right here, and if you think he's moving his boat a lot, if he's covering a lot of ground, you'd be wrong. He is hardly moving.
He is fishing in a very, very small area. And you know what now? At any given time, there's several patterns out on a lake. Several different ways you can catch the fish. It seems like there's 2 today, the flipping pattern in the smartweed and throwing those lipless in the submerged grass, but both patterns involve grass. And you hear the anglers always talking, Tommy, about fishing their strength. Well, that simply means that you fish the way you like it best, I guess. Takahiro likes keeping on the move and covering a lot of water with a hard bait. Walker, who's doing pretty good at the moment, is more slow and steady, and that's what that flipping and pitching does. Doesn't mean that they can't fish any other way, but if they have an option, they go with their strength. Walker is back in the game with his strength, isn't he?
Takahiro Omori finding it going a little bit slower than he has the first 3 days of this tournament. As a matter of fact, right now, David Walker has caught him and passed him.
They got eat it. Days like this, bright sun, warm up, and the wind. But they move too much, maybe.
And you know what? We've said Takahiro's fishing fast, and that may not be completely right. You know, he's just fishing a lot of water. He's covering lots of water. When we say that, it kind of sounds like he's fishing fast. Actually, he would, on the windy days, throw out a windsock in the water that would drag him and make sure that he went through this water very slowly. And he did not like to turn on his electronics, and he did not like to use his trolling motor.
See, I told you, time to catch fish. Just have to be real quiet.
You know, we're pretty lucky to have this great battle this early in the season. The first event, Takahiro Mori now has taken the lead back from David Walker. Two tough anglers getting at it and going neck and neck in the final moments.
And Walker's catching up on his jerking, isn't he? He is having a hard time catching these fish, but he's pretty good. You watch out for him.
You gotta be kidding me. I can't catch him. Gosh. I had him just for a second that time. All right. All right. You and me, fish. You really... There's a little scooter butt right there. Told you. That's what was aggravating me right there, was them little guys. That's 5, man. What do you think? 5 fish?
David Walker in his battle with the bass in this little grass patch is getting kind of personal here. But man, oh man, what a battle we have got going on between him and Takahiro Omori. Tied up with not too much fishing time left.
Let's help Terry Scroggins get on the board. And while we do, Tommy, I want to throw some trivia at you. First BASS event ever on Toho was in 1977, and your winner, and it was the Classic at that time, was Rick Clunt. In second place was Larry Nixon. Both of them are hard at it even today. And the Vikings and Raiders were in the Super Bowl that year. Tarkington was the quarterback for the Vikings.
Kenny Stabler, the
Kenny
snake.
Stabler. Come on,
Well,
Terry,
look out
get
for a
that
snake
fish out.
right here, Terry Scroggins. Hey, keep in mind, if he could land a 10-pounder and maybe another big fish, he could be right in the thick of things, but it's not going to happen this time around. There is more fishing to go. Walker and Omori tied at the top. We've also got to look at an effort to improve the fish habitat here that may have backfired a little bit on some of the anglers this week. That's coming up on our Citgo Bass Insider.
The Citgo Bass Insider.
Lake Toho has changed. Since 2001, a massive habitat enhancement project to remove silt and invasive plant species has been completed. That involved drawing the lake down, spraying the vegetation with herbicide, and bulldozing up the silt. The earth-moving equipment took over 7 million cubic yards off the floor of the lake, enough to fill the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium from the field to the top bleachers. Under the silt was hardpan, and beneath that, a beautiful layer of sand, the type that's perfect for spawning fish. Could it be that with acres and acres of newly exposed spawning areas, the big fish weren't in their known haunts and avoided some anglers who were fishing from memory?
The Bass Insider has been brought to you by Citgo.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tour in our first event of 2005. Tommy Sanders along with Jerry McInnes down here on Lake Toho in Central Florida. We have a huge battle going on between our classic champ, Takahiro Omori, and David Walker.
And David Walker, I was wondering if you were ever going to catch one of those fish over there that were bothering you so much.
You and me both. That was aggravating. They did me that way yesterday, too, though. I had a lot of bites that... You can see when I finally caught that one, he's a smaller one.
Well, I guess what the big problem is to hook a fish, especially a good-sized fish, have the hook go through his jaw where it immediately becomes exposed, and bam, it's hung up in the grass.
Yeah, you're right. And then that hook grabs everything else too, so it pins him to the grass, and now you can't get to him, and so you have to try and actually just keep tearing the fish out or hope the fish frees itself. So it's kind of a, each time you get a fish, you got to kind of feel where he's at, and give him a little line, know when to pull.
Well, aren't you using real heavy monofilament line?
I was using it, and I just started using braid here just a few minutes ago because I've been using monofilament the whole time. I just like fishing with heavy mono with this heavy sinker better than I do with the braid. I know, it's just a feel thing for me. Is that a fish? Maybe he's still on there.
Boy, here is the real test now. Let's see if you can do it, man.
Yeah, he's still on.
All right.
Woo! There you go.
Now you're up to close to 10 pounds.
Now I got 10 pounds, baby. Yes. See how easy this stuff is, Jerry?
Ain't nothing to it, is there?
Yes.
David Walker, man, oh man, he is tenacious. He gets another fish there, takes the lead. 1 pound for David Walker. They are neck and neck as we watch Terry Scroggins. Terry Scroggins still trying to get rid of the donut here, trying to get a good keeper in the boat. That looks like the exact same place where he hung up just a few minutes ago. Is that the same spot?
It may be. I tell you what, you know, thinking about the race we got going here, it's almost impossible for Takahiro to win this event. Boy, do you realize how hard it is to win a classic? It's the toughest. And then take 6 months off, go through all the I won the classic hoopla, and then turn around and win another event right out of the box. Boy, sounding like I'm saying that he can't win it, Tommy. I'm not real sure about that. I tell you what, I bet Walker and Reynolds and Scroggins all hope that that is the truth.
Jeff Reynolds trying to put his 4th fish of the day in the boat. He has quietly put together a pretty strong limit, and he stands to move up that leaderboard. It doesn't look like he's going to have a good shot at catching the leaders, but he's done well all day, and he's done good with that right there, although he's fished with a worm through most of this tournament.
He's been back and forth, and I know he lost a good fish on the first day that probably would have changed the whole picture here now that he's having such a successful day here in the finals. He needs a big one, though, to really catch up.
Here's a man who needs one just for his own, his personal pride here. He's sitting on 0. Last year's Angler of the Year, Gerald Swindle.
Shooting from the hip again. What in the world was that, dude? Is that a bass?
Yep. Big one too. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. I got William suckers! 385,000 calves later. Can you feel it? I got one! Holy moly. Ha!
Gerald Swindle finally gets up on the board with the appropriate celebration there, but don't hold anything against our man Swindle here. He has done something that hasn't been done in more than 10 years. An Angler of the Year, taking up the first tournament of the next season and making it to the top 10. Well, he's going to do no worse than 6th place. And Takahiro Omori, let's retrack his day today. Took a long run, about 45 minutes, 31 miles, down to Lake Kissimmee. He's only caught 3 fish so far all day. The first one came early in the morning, another one mid-morning. Took the lead with a fish at 12:23, but it's back and forth right now between him and David Walker. So he's going to have to put another fish in the boat if he really wants to lock down a win here at this tournament.
And Tommy's got a little bit of a lead, so much for my prediction that he can't win, huh? That goes by the board. No,
but you were right to say it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. That was my point. And boy, he is pumping that lipless through the grass and doing exactly what he was supposed to do all day long. And he is accomplishing something.
Well, this looks like a good keeper. It could be the one for Takahiro Omori.
3-pounder. I was sleeping. His fish was not sleeping. I was sleeping. Sorry. Sorry. All right. He hit so hard. I mean, I was sleeping.
Well, the time for fishing has drawn to a close. The time for the weigh-in is almost upon us here. Can Takahiro Omori do it? Follow up the classic win with a win at the first stop of the new year. Or will it be David Walker breaking through for the first win of his career? We'll settle it all when we come back.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Purolator, Berkeley Gulp, Triton Boats, and Cialis.
Well, we are back, and we are almost ready for the moment of truth at Lake Toho, our first Citgo Bassmaster Tour event of the year. But some important business to touch on quickly before we get to that. David Mansu, we got to congratulate him. He owns the Purolator Big Bass for the tournament. Take a look at this 9-pound, 4-ounce Kissimmee chain largemouth. Congratulations to the angler from Robbinsville, New Jersey. And how about the angler from Avon, Indiana? That would be our non-boater champ, Tom Burks. Tom Burks' prize money worth $37,700. Not too shabby. Well, now we are ready. Will it be Takahiro Omori making a little more history here at Lake Toho, or will it be David Walker breaking through and accomplishing something people have thought he's had coming to him for a long, long time, and that's a win?
The weigh-in at Toho gets underway, and we know who the championship contenders are, Omori and Walker. They started 1 and 2, and they'll be the last two to weigh in. Jeff Reynolds is on stage. With 8 pounds, 13 ounces, he helps his cause, eventually landing in 3rd place. David Walker waits, tries to stay relaxed, even joins in on a few second-place jokes at his own expense. But you can tell these jokes are getting old. Meanwhile, Scroggins has some disappointing results and winds up in 5th place. And Gerald Swindle in 6th, even though he wants you to know he worked hard.
I flipped every square inch of grass on Kissimmee, Hatchinall, Cypress, all the canals connected to the lakes and some creeks I shouldn't have been in, and Toho, and had 2 bites. So I don't care. This lake's tough. It's as tough as I've ever seen. If you smell something on me, it's my hind end, because the lake has handed it to me all day.
Takahiro Omori is patiently signing autographs as he waits, but he also keeps an ear on the loudspeakers. The classic champ is always doing the math. Sheffield's 2 fish will take him to 4th place eventually. And now it's Walker's turn. Another 5-fish limit, but would it be enough to make the disappointments of the 9 top 10s, the 2 third-place classic finishes, all without a win, fade away?
Consistency will pay off, and it'll get you some Angler of the Year titles, get you some good checks, but usually you got to have a big day to win a tournament, and I just don't feel like that ever happened for me here, but I'm not going to give it to him, let's tell you that much. He's going to have to catch some fish to win this tournament.
11 pounds and 7 ounces. Top of the food chain right there, my friend.
11-7 is consistent with his great steady work all week, but Omori hears, and instantly he knows it's over. Walker can watch and come to the same conclusion as T.O. pulls his big fish and then the bag.
8 pounds, 1 ounce, Takahiro Omori.
He can see that it will be 2 in a row for Omori.
Since I started fishing in the United States in 1992, I've been fishing 13 years in this tour. I just won a classic 5 months ago, but that was last year. So I have to refresh my mind real quick to restart it, and I think I did a good job this week.
Takahiro Omori, 2004 Citgo Bassmaster Classic champion, backs it up in Kissimmee. 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Tour Kissimmee champion.
Follow up a classic win with a tour victory. You can't be much more on a roll than that. Takahiro Omori, congratulations to him. And as we look at the Citgo Angler of the Year statistics, well, it's going to match up, this being the first event of the year, with our leaderboard from this final day. Takahiro Omori on top, also in the mix, Gerald Swindle, last year's Angler of the Year. The Toyota Rookie of the Year competition, the man in charge is Arizona's Andre Moore. That benefits of his 14th place finish here. And of course, the Toyota Horizon Award, that race is on as well. The most improved angler on the tour. There's your leaderboard for that right now. And with this first event, everyone's shooting for the Bush Shootout. There are 40 days of fishing during the course of the tour, and the heaviest weight from each day of fishing is a potential qualifier. Only the top 10 weights at season's end actually qualify for the shootout. So we have 4 potential qualifiers from here at Lake Toho. That would include Kevin Worth, Jeff Reynolds, Gerald Swindle, and our champion, of course, Takahiro Omori. And while the champ is still on the grounds, doing a little bit of celebrating Takahiro, we wanted to ask you why it happened now. I mean, why didn't this happen 5 years ago or 2 years ago? Why has it taken this long?
Well, you know, anything takes time. I think I learn every day, every single tournament to become the better fisherman. And I think right now is like peak performance and peak in my career. I think I'm fishing good right now, just so I can see lots more things most of the fishermen cannot see.
Are you using the confidence from winning the Classic last season to help you out this year, or are you having to think totally anew?
I have to think totally brand new season. It's new. It's winning Classic is I have to kind of like forget about it, then go back to restart the new season. That's what I did this week.
All right, well, thanks again, Takahiro, for your time, and congratulations. A great job here on Lake Toho. And Jerry, Takahiro Omori just gets stronger with each tournament, with every day, it seems like. More momentum.
You know what? It is really hard to dominate this sport. Takahiro could possibly dominate it for a while anyway, because he's got a tremendous work ethic. His focus is, boy, it's out of the roof. And he has learned how to win. So, boy, you put them things together, and he's going to be tough for a while.
All right, let's look at next week. Now, the big spawning fish didn't show up for this Toho event. Some people thought they would, but we're not out of the woods yet on that for Florida spawning tournaments. We got a big one coming up at Harris Chain next week.
You know, they're depending so much on the weather. And quite honestly, I think we did miss it by a week here. We may be hitting it right on the nose down there at Harris Chain. I predict some big fish next week.
All right, if he's right, you don't want to miss it. We'll be here next week at this same time for the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to Bassmaster.com.
Yes. 2004 Citgo Bassmaster Classic champion backs it up in Kissimmee. 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Tour Kissimmee champion.